Suicide Squad number 26, written by Matt Kint, art by Patrick Zurcher. So, Forever Evil tie-in. And last issue, Harley Quinn betrayed the team and took OMAC to Thinker and then dropped a mountain on the team. And then also there was a thing where Amanda Waller was freeing Kane, the father of King Shark. However, in this issue, his name is now Kamo. Kamo. I literally can flip between the pages and see the different names. I don't know what happened there, but we'll go with Kamo. So this issue opens up with a backstory to Belle Reve and basically says it was a normal prison back in the day, the 1800s, but instead of holding your petty criminals, it was like a supermax prison. It was holding the ones who were really good at being criminals, who made it like a career sort of thing. And so over the years, Belle Reve would, of course, go through many administrations. It would be torn down, it would be rebuilt, so on and so forth, until eventually it was on its most recent iteration under its most recent administration. And that's when Superman showed up. And immediately everyone was like, all right, we now have to deal with super-powered villains and criminals. How are we going to hold them? So they used all of their super tech stuff and all their science in order to build cells that could hold these criminals and keep them all in one place. Because what could go wrong by keeping all of your super powered criminals in one place? And then Forever Evil happened and they found out exactly what went wrong. So anyway, Amanda Waller went down to level 7 when we last saw her. And as I said, freed Kamo, who is now fighting against King Shark. And Waller's like, all right. Gotta be honest, I kind of wish this would have turned out a different way. And she's trying to talk to King Shark, saying like, hey, don't fight him, don't kill him. And King Shark's like, why? He's gonna kill me. And Kamo's immediately like, yeah, you're my offspring. All of my offspring tried to betray me and take my throne. I won't let that happen. And King Shark's immediately like, Dad? That's you, Dad? So King Shark's not fighting back that hard. And Amanda Waller's like, yeah, nah, he's got incredible power. Kamo is way beyond our limits to be able to control. It reminds me a lot of the first time I saw OMAC, and we get a flashback to her watching a soldier undergoing the OMAC virus that transforms them into OMAC. But then we get a cutaway to James Gordon Jr., who is still working with Amanda Waller, trying to figure out what the Thinker's up to. So he goes up to the Thinker's machine that he's built, stabs a few of the guards, and says, all right, well, now I just got to wait to see what happens next. And then the plane that has Harley Quinn and OMAC in it just drops OMAC to the ground. He lands with a huge thud. And Gordon Jr.'s like, oh, great, cool. But why'd they drop him so close to Thinker? And that's when Harley Quinn jumps out, lands on Gordon's back, and it's just like, hey, I'm going to kill you now. And Gordon immediately gets triggered by this because apparently he's got touch issues. But we go back to the Kamo King Shark fight, and Amanda Waller tries to get in the way. And she's like, wait, Kamo, hold on. Here's the thing. King Shark isn't trying to take your throne, but there is someone who is. His name is OMAC, and he's right upstairs. So if you decide to help us take out OMAC, I will let you not only take back your throne, but also a big part of the earth. And also will break the spell that's keeping you here. There's no spell. She's making that up. So Kamo's like, all right, tell me what's up. What did you do? So then we get Kamo's backstory. And by backstory, I mean, how did Amanda Waller manage to get him here? And the answer is, there is no answer. They found out Superman was a thing. OMAC was still being tested. And they're like, all right, we need something superpowered. So they heard about this island deity that required human sacrifices in the form of young girls. They went to check it out, and there's Kamo. So they just somehow boxed him up and were trying to use his energy. And they realized that he was using the young girls to essentially breed these strange human shark hybrids. So they picked up one of them, kept it in a tank, and that became King Shark. But in terms of Kamo, they realized he's too powerful. We can't hope to control that. We're just going to throw him in the basement and hope that one day we can figure out what to do with him. So we cut back to the Harley and Gordon plot, and Gordon manages to take a knife and stab it into Harley's back. And Gordon's like, look, if you move at all, that's going to sever your vertebra. So you're just going to listen to what I have to say, and then I'll take out the knife. What the hell's going on? What did you do? And she's like, oh, I betrayed the team, and I'm delivering OMAC to the Thinker. And he's like, why? And she's like, that's just kind of my thing. Chaotic evil. You know how it is. And Gordon's like, all right, fair enough. However, you need to work for me now. And he pulls out the knife and immediately snaps an explosive collar around her neck and says, cool, now that'll explode if you ever disobey me. So you're on my side. And Harley's like, ooh, Gordon, I'm suddenly getting the flutters. And he's like, oh, don't. Just do not. So he gets a bit more information from her about what she knows, which is not a lot. And he's like, all right, guess we'll just wait to see what's going on. Wait, where's OMAC? Turns out Thinker's already got OMAC inside of the machine he's built, and he's doing a brain transfer. Just straight up, he's ditching his old man body and putting it into hyper strong OMAC body. So we finish Waller's flashback to the OMAC virus being tested on that guy. He didn't survive for long, but he did survive as OMAC briefly, and he managed to show just this unimaginable show of force as he just immediately busted through every defense they had. And he eventually died. He was, too much, but they still wanted an OMAC for themselves, and they eventually found one that could contain the OMAC virus. It became a whole separate book at the beginning of the New 52, and now that they finally found it again, Waller's like, all right, that's too dangerous to be in the hands of anybody, let alone the Thinker. So she gets together her team now of Gordon, Harley, Kamo, and King Shark, and is like, cool, number one job is we're going to take out the Thinker and also OMAC. Kamo, I said that if you helped us out, you could have like a piece of the earth. Sure. So at that point, they look around and they see this giant hole in the machine the Thinker's in. And like, well, there's Thinker's body. Where's OMAC? And then OMAC immediately comes out. He's like, the Thinker, I am in his brain now. I am the Thinker in OMAC's brain. I'm going to punch you. And he punches Kamo, which is it's apparently very hard to do that. Manages to like take him out for a second. And Amanda Waller's like, oh, we're all dead. There's no way we're going to be able to survive this. So then we cut back to the mountain that Harley dropped on her team. And Deadshot is coming too. And he's just like, boy, oh boy, I can't wait to see who I'm going to kill when I get back to Belle Reve. So, of course, Deadshot's alive. That was never a shock to begin with. I think this issue's good, but I do think it goes a bit too heavy on the exposition. I think there's just a bit too much going on with everything where we're saying, okay, here's not only Kamo's origin, but we're also going to give a brief slide over to here's King Shark's origin. And then we're going to give this origin of the OMAC virus as well. And then I kind of skipped over it, but we also see Jane Gordon Jr.'s childhood of his mother, like not showing him enough physical attention. So that's why he's so triggered by someone grabbing onto him. Like too much exposition. Just keep it to what we need for this issue, which for this issue, I think is Kamo. We need to know, why is this island deity in a vault underneath Belle Reve? You focus on that, the rest should come easy. But clearly that's not what we were doing, so it's a little bit overstuffed. All in all, I'll give this one a 6.5. Not fantastic, but I am still enjoying this idea of duplicity and Waller just having to roll with the punches of however it is she's going to manage to come out on top of this. And yeah, it's an interesting concept, but not above a 6.5.